Auburn drops another one, 16-10. Another rough offensive performance. I'm giving you my thoughts, quick thoughts after going final here on the Crowded Booth.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Coon.
Sixteen to 10, Auburn falls in College Station to Texas A&M. Welcome in the Crowded Booth. I'm Will Maness, talking the Auburn-Texas A&M game, which was another rough one to watch from the Auburn perspective, which clearly that's the perspective I watch it from. Another game that Auburn goes on the road against a top 10 team, and at least on the defensive side of the ball, played well enough to win and probably should have won the game. Auburn had a couple chances today against Texas A&M in the fourth quarter with the ball to go down the field and score, and went 4 and out a couple times, or 3 and out, and punted the first time. Just kind of my overall thoughts. This game was so bad offensively, I can't really think of any plays to point out, to think about, to look back on and feel good about. There was the long pass to Eric Singleton, that 37-yard pass down the sideline in the second quarter, that set up the field goal for Auburn. But that's basically it. Another game for Auburn when you're sitting here talking about the offensive line just being flat terrible. And today was even worse than it was against Oklahoma. There's Ralph. Tell him, Will, just straight pitiful. That's the only word to describe the offensive line play. Pitiful. Texas A&M, especially in that second half, did not blitz much, if at all. And Auburn's offensive line had no answers. And that's a huge problem at any point, but especially after the same thing happened a week ago. This is an Auburn team that is making zero adjustments on the offensive side of the ball. I can't understand it. I think, and I think just the offense and the scheme itself is a huge problem. I think, we'll go back to fall camp when, we're talking about Auburn has 3 play callers on offense. That's a huge problem. And that's kind of the perception. And now that's the running joke. That's a problem. You're running an RPO scheme that puts a lot on the quarterback to make the decisions. I think that's a problem. I don't think that this offense is talented enough where it matters to deploy the RPO offense. I was texting friends during the game. I said, Hugh Freeze has made me hate the acronym RPO. I hate it. I cannot stand to hear RPO, and Hugh Freeze will say it after the game. I haven't even seen his post-game comments, and he'll say it during the week, talking about this game when he talks about it on Monday at his press conference. And, well, that's our offense. It's an RPO system. I'm tired of it. Somebody needs to put their foot down and just make the calls. And, I don't know if it's necessarily on Jackson Arnold. There was, some of my friends, a lot of my friends are Georgia fans. Not much of a surprise living in Georgia, living in Columbus. And they're asking, where's Deuce Knight? Where's Deuce Knight? And me and the other my Auburn friends are saying, Deuce Knight is not ready. I mean, Deuce Knight struggled in his college debut against Ball State. And if you're struggling against Ball State, there's no reason you should be playing in the SEC, getting any snaps in an SEC game, especially on the road. So Deuce Knight's not ready. And Jackson Arnold as a player, just like his physical attributes, what he brings physically, I like a lot in a quarterback. He runs well. I think he has a good enough arm. He's accurate when he has time to throw. So, I mean, really everything is there. I think the biggest knock on him as a quarterback is he plays with zero anticipation. Plays with absolutely no anticipation. So he holds on to the ball too long. the few times, and that's why Auburn has so many sacks. Let's see, how many sacks did Auburn have today? I'm looking at the stats here on StreamYard. 5 sacks today. Better than the 10 against Oklahoma, but still 5 sacks. That's just nowhere near good enough. Auburn's defense got to Marcel Reed 4 times. Really like that. But offensively, there's all kinds of problems. So many problems. And I think it's too many to fix. I know it's a bye week. It's a great time to fix a lot of these problems. I think there's too many problems. The offensive line was like I said, pitiful. I got to talk about Xavier Chaplin. Had probably the worst game of his entire life today. I mean, going to Texas A&M is a tough environment. They've got a really good defense. They do a lot of things. Texas A&M, Mike Elko, do a great job disguising things, making it tough on the offense. They did that for sure. But the penalties are a huge problem. The majority of them coming from the offensive line, false starts, holds. You're not going to win games doing that kind of stuff. And Xavier Chaplin had a really rough day. Jesse Palmer even said it on the broadcast that Auburn should take him out of this game. And the sideline reporter even said that they were talking about taking him out of the game, and they never did. Auburn's played 5 games. We're 5 games into the season, and we're at the halfway point, so you pretty much know what you've got. But also, it's time to start holding people accountable. That's what I want to see in the next 2 weeks, heading into the Georgia game, at least on the offensive side. People need to start being held accountable. Whether it's you're not getting the job done, whether it's player, coach, whoever, somebody should be held. Like, honestly, I think Jake Thornton needs to go, the offensive line coach. I have not been high on Jake Thornton. This is 2 weeks in a row where the offensive line looks – they can't block anybody, and it seems like in the second half they make no adjustments. Somebody will be a scapegoat, but again, it all falls on the head coach. And this Auburn offense is just it's anemic. I'm tired of it. I said it last week during the Oklahoma game, felt it during this game. I said it as a joke, but it's pretty true. Hugh Freeze is just Gus Malzahn in a hooded T-shirt. Nothing's different. I mean, Auburn has a championship level, fringe championship level defense, but a middle school level offense. I mean, it is pathetic. The offense is pathetic. When you can't block somebody, and I know they try to do different things with their blocking schemes, whatever. Why don't you just block the defender that's lined up in front of you? I mean, surely. And then if you still can't block them, then we need to change who's in the game. We need to make a change with personnel. So I don't know. It's just hard to watch, and it's already gotten very old to watch, because you go on the road, you play the number 9 team in the country at their place, you hold them to 16 points, you should win that game. You go on the road to what was Oklahoma, number 10, number 11 last week, you hold them to 22 points. You should probably win that game, especially when you look at the receivers that Auburn has. Auburn has a former 5-star quarterback. You got to find a way to put up points, and this offense continuously shoots themselves in the foot and keeps them from scoring points. It seemed like almost every positive play Auburn had on offense, it came back for a hold every time. It's a problem at this point. We're too far into the season. We're 5 games in. Auburn's 3-2. This was a team that we were talking about the ceiling would be 8-9 wins, contending for a playoff spot. I don't know if this team makes it to a bowl game. I really don't. I really don't know if Auburn can get 6 wins. I don't. You look at the rest of the schedule. You look at the rest of the SEC. I mean, I might be the only person watching the South Carolina-Kentucky game, because off the top of my head, that's the only game that I think Auburn can win. Maybe Arkansas. Arkansas looks like they quit today the way they played against Notre Dame, but things can change by the time Auburn plays Arkansas. They may have an interim head coach, and there might be some juice from Arkansas. But I don't know. I don't know if Auburn is going to win 6 games. I don't. We know that Diego Pavia owns Hugh Freeze, so I don't know if Auburn can go to Vanderbilt and win again and win. I really don't know. I really don't. We'll dig into the numbers a little bit. Auburn, 177 yards of total offense, 152 passing yards, just 52 rush yards. I just cannot understand why Auburn is so against running the ball. Auburn is effective at running the ball. Jeremiah Cobb was Auburn's leading rusher today with 28 yards. He only had 6 carries. He averaged 4.5 yards a carry. And his longest run was 7 yards, so it's not like he busted off a 20-yard run. His longest rush was 7. He ran it 6 times. Jackson Arnold ran it 15 times. Damari also ran it twice. Eric Singleton ran it once, which that is a play that I remember because it is so just preposterous. 3rd and 9, Auburn motion Singleton into the backfield alongside Arnold and tries to run an inside zone with Eric Singleton with a wide receiver. What are we doing? What are we doing? And the Tech fans, I've heard it all year. The ones that are watching, I'm sure you're getting your comments going about Eric Singleton. Gross misuse of Eric Singleton. A gross, just disgusting, despicable use of Eric Singleton. Despicable. I mean, this guy was a playmaker in that Georgia Tech offense, and he's done very little for Auburn. And I mean, that's got to be on coach. I don't know who you put it on. He was Auburn's leading receiver tonight, 5 catches for 56 yards. Brandon Frazier, who I didn't even know could catch the ball, had 5 catches. Cam Coleman, 4 catches, only just 18 yards. There's way too much talent on this team to go on the road and only score 10 points. And Auburn really only scored 10 points because Xavier Atkins intercepted the ball and ran it back to the 1-yard line before he got run down. In short, I'm sick of the play calling. I texted friends during the game. I said, Hugh Freeze just can't call plays. I don't know what's happened. He can't call plays. They don't make sense. He refuses to run the ball when it seems to be the general consensus is everybody thinks that this Auburn offensive line, their strength is running the ball. And he refuses to run the ball. I mean, a prime example is I started saying it in the spring that this Auburn team will have to be successful in spite of the coaching. The 1 touchdown for Auburn, I think, is a prime example of that. Xavier Atkins runs the interception back down to the 1-yard line, and Hugh Freeze calls a pass play. Rolls the pocket, runs Jackson Arnold out of the pocket, and he just tucks it down and runs it in. You're at the 1-yard line, 1st and goal. Line up and try to run through Texas A&M and into the end zone. It's 1 yard. But no, you want to try to call a pass play. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. And I've said it time and time again. I think it's Auburn's DNA to run the football. Whenever Auburn has been successful, they've been able to run the football. And this offensive brain trust, this 3 masterminds that are calling plays and designing Auburn's offense refuse to run the ball. Refuse. And, if it's the RPO and it's the quarterback pulling it, then these coaches need to put their foot down and say, we're running the football. Do not pull it, run it. I don't care if they put 10 in the box, run the ball. Because at some point you have to prove a point. And I think that's kind of where Auburn needs to be, prove a point. Auburn 0 of 13 on 3rd downs, 0 for 2 on 4th downs, 0 for 15 on 3rd and 4th down. That's really hard to do. That's really hard to do. It had several 3rd and shorts, and Auburn tries to throw the ball. Auburn has to run the ball. They got to run it. They got to run it. You can see on the stat broadcast. This is why I love stat broadcasts. They do it. Auburn averaged 2.2 yards per rush, but you take out the sacks. Auburn averaged over 4 yards a carry. This Auburn offense can run the ball. Why are they not running the ball more? They can run it. They are showing they are effective at running the ball. 4 yards a carry. You did that 3 times, you move the chains. I don't get it. And it makes it doubly frustrating that the defense is this good. I know they gave up 400 yards to Texas A&M, but, man, they only gave up 16 points to a really good offense. I said it in the preview show. I don't know how Auburn's going to stop KC Concepcion and Mario Craver. It looked to me the game plan was to try to limit Mario Craver. They did that. 4 catches, 34 yards, but KC Concepcion 7 catches for 113 yards. Yep. Ralph, great comment. Hugh said on Thursday, we have to commit to the run more to win. I think, right here on Stat Broadcast, I think these 15 rushes from Jackson Arnold include his sacks because the rules in college, a sack counts against your rushing yards. So you take those out. He ran it 5 times. Cobb ran it 6. That's 11. 2 from Austin, 13. 1 for Singleton, 14. You ran the ball 14 times. You threw it 33. How on Thursday, 2 days before the game, you have to commit to the run more to win, and you still throw it twice as much as you run it? I'm tired of it. Somebody's got to be held accountable. Somebody's got to be held accountable. And I don't know if you make the decision, if you pull the trigger right now on the head coach. I don't know if you do, because you're still 3-2. I mean, but I've said it before. I think that Auburn's athletic director, John Cohen, I think he's a very patient athletic director. He's going to be very, very slow to make changes. He is very conservative about the direction that college athletics is going to the revenue sharing model. He does not want to put Auburn in a position where it can't afford a buyout, or it can't afford to pay for a new coach that will deliver a championship, or just get Auburn close to a championship, because Auburn is so far away, so painfully far away from a championship. So painfully far. I mean, something has to change. Something has to change. I mean, it's having the feeling of Auburn in 2016 when the powers that be approached Gus Malzahn and said, either you go and hire a real offensive coordinator, or we're letting you go. That's what it feels like, because the defense is really good. I really like watching this Auburn defense. I mean, I can really only think of the only complaint I have is if Auburn has the lead, then DJ Durkin kind of backs off, doesn't want to get beat deep. If he can just get through his head, man, to just stay aggressive. That's where this defense is at its best. Just stay aggressive. They'll be really good for 4 quarters. Didn't see that today because Auburn never had the lead, so we didn't have to see Texas A&M have a chance to just go shred Auburn's defense down the field like Oklahoma did to go win the game. And the old cliche is teams take after their head coach, and I think this Auburn team has done that. This Auburn team cannot perform in the clutch, and I've said this many times about Hugh Freeze. Everybody talks about he's a winner. He wins everywhere he wins everywhere he's been. He's won 10 games everywhere he's been. But what's he won? What's he won? Where's his conference titles? Where's his national titles? Where are they? Where are they? He won 10 games a couple times at Ole Miss, beat Alabama twice, and never played for the SEC championship. Never won the SEC West. It's frustrating. It's a frustrating time at Auburn. If Auburn's got 2 weeks for Georgia, I mean, they better figure out some offense, and they probably will, because I think 2 years ago, Hugh Freeze's first year, the Auburn-Georgia game, Auburn's offense looked pathetic, and then all of a sudden against Georgia, it looked really good. So they'll probably figure something out. I don't know how you do that because up until this point, Georgia's front seven looks really good, and their secondary looks bad. But Auburn seems to have no passing game. So I think that's where you attack Georgia's defense, but Auburn doesn't have a passing game. So I don't know what they're going to do. If the Georgia game is more like this, then it's just a broken record. It's frustrating to watch the same thing over and over. It is, especially when we know that there's more talent there than in the past. It's just frustrating. It's a frustrating time to be an Auburn fan. It has been for quite a while. I'm going to cut it short because I do want to catch the Georgia-Alabama game. Also want to watch some Oregon and Penn State. Subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed, we'll be live tomorrow night recapping games. I'm sure we'll talk more about this game. And when I'm a little bit more calm, I'll have probably more things to say. But I know we'll talk Georgia-Alabama. We'll probably talk a little Oregon, Penn State, depending on how that game goes. But subscribe so you don't miss that and don't miss anything we're talking college football all the time on the Crowded Booth. Thanks for hanging out for the last 20 or so minutes with me in my pain.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Coon.